Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving straight into the genuine, declassified history of Area 51 beyond the mirage.
For decades, this patch of Nevada desert was literally just a blank spot on official maps. I mean, if you looked at a standard government topography map, there was absolutely nothing there to tell you a sprawling, highly active military installation existed. And yet this so-called non-existent real estate was guarded by extreme perimeter security. It was heavily patrolled, continuously monitored, and absolutely forbidden to the public. You know, that stark contrast between being completely erased on paper, but fiercely protected on the ground? That's exactly what first captured everyone's imagination.
So that brings us to a pretty massive paradox. Why authorize deadly force to protect a base that, officially speaking, doesn't even exist? This is the crucial question that pulls us right past that guarded perimeter and really forces us to look logically at the whole situation. The level of security out there wasn't just your standard military protocol, it was absolute. If we're not talking about extraterrestrial visitors, like the persistent rumors always suggested, what earthly technology or strategic advantage could possibly warrant that kind of lethal protection and unprecedented isolation? Well, that's exactly the investigative thread we're going to pull on today.
As you'll see, there's a massive gap between the mirage and the reality. For years, the public saw these bizarre lights and, understandably, immediately assumed flying saucers. But the reality? We're talking about top-secret hypersonic aircraft tests tearing through the night sky. Listen, those locals reporting things, they weren't crazy. They were absolutely seeing unexplainable, incredibly fast, blindingly bright objects darting around in the dark. They just misidentified what it was. They were literally witnessing the dawn of next-generation aviation, pushing the absolute limits of human engineering, but it was all completely shrouded in shadows.
And I really want to clarify something here. This mirage wasn't necessarily some grand extraterrestrial cover-up intentionally orchestrated by the government just to distract people. Honestly, it was more of a natural byproduct of the extreme secrecy required during the Cold War. Think about it. When people witness bleeding-edge tech that they simply cannot comprehend, and the military absolutely refuses to comment to protect national security, human imagination just naturally rushes in to fill that void. The whole alien narrative? It was just the most accessible explanation for a totally unexplainable reality.
So to really understand what was going on, let's look at the evolution of declassified flight. As records show, activity at the base unfolded in these distinct, highly secretive phases. We start in the 1950s with Project OXCART in the U-2 spy plane, then scale things up in the 1960s with OXCART in the A-12 development, and then, decades later, we see the declassification of a completely different mission: reverse engineering. Area 51 was never just a single, stagnant operation. It was this incredibly dynamic, evolving hub for the most sensitive intelligence projects of the entire Cold War.
Let's zoom in on that first major milestone, Project OXCART, the program that gave us the legendary U-2 spy plane. Back in the 1950s, there was this desperate need for high-altitude reconnaissance to monitor global threats. And the U-2 was a total game-changer. It could cruise at 70,000 feet. That put it safely out of reach of enemy radar and interceptor missiles. But you know, to actually build and test an aircraft with those kinds of unprecedented capabilities, they needed an incredibly isolated testing ground, far away from any prying eyes or foreign intelligence. Those desolate, dry lake beds out in the Nevada desert, they provided the absolute perfect hidden runway.
Then came an even more ambitious leap with OXCART, which was the highly classified program that birthed the A-12 reconnaissance aircraft. If the U-2 was all about extreme altitude, OXCART was all about unprecedented speed. Bringing the A-12 into the desert seriously pushed the physical boundaries of what anyone thought was possible. I mean, this aircraft was designed to fly at Mach 3. That is vastly faster than anything else in the sky at the time. Testing this absolute beast is actually what generated a lot of those bizarre light sightings we talked about. And honestly, if you saw the massive, glowing exhaust of an A-12 tearing across the pitch-black desert sky at 3 times the speed of sound, calling it a UFO is a pretty reasonable reaction.
So when we finally look inside the hangars, the absolute core of this whole investigation, you're not going to find extraterrestrial biology. What you will find are the physical remnants of Project OXCART and the U-2, the sleek titanium bodies of OXCART's A-12, and the incredibly meticulous work of reverse engineering captured foreign military tech. These were the true, grounded secrets of Area 51. Each one of these projects represented a massive strategic advantage during a period of really intense global tension. They required absolute silence, and that is exactly what that extreme perimeter security and the authorization of deadly force were designed to protect.
Because, you see, the intelligence cycle of Area 51 wasn't just about building our own planes,
it was equally about tearing apart the enemies. It was a strict, highly structured process. Step 1. Secure captured foreign military tech. Step 2. Transport it secretly to those isolated hangars in the desert. And Step 3. Meticulously reverse engineer it to completely understand what it could and couldn't do. This really reveals the grounded, investigative reality of the base. By literally dismantling foreign technology, our engineers could figure out exactly what they were up against and develop countermeasures. It was absolutely crucial for maintaining a strategic edge behind closed doors.
Okay, so the crucial takeaway here is actually incredibly ironic. Cold War aerospace secrecy accidentally birthed a modern mythology. The extreme necessity for national security inadvertently created the world's most famous science fiction mirage. The secrecy was real, the cover-ups of the test programs were real, and that deadly force perimeter was definitely real. But the purpose wasn't to hide visitors from another world. It was to protect earthly, intellectual innovations that were literally keeping the nation safe. The reality is just an incredible testament to human ingenuity hidden away in its own necessary shadows. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final question to ponder. If the famous UFO sightings of the 50s and 60s were actually just classified hypersonic aircraft tests, what modern hypersonic tests might be masquerading as UFOs today? The need for aerospace secrecy certainly hasn't disappeared, and technology has only advanced at a blistering pace. It really makes you wonder what current classified realities are hiding behind today's unexplained mysteries in our skies. Thanks for joining me to explore the true history of Area 51. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.